Hi folks, Hank Pyro here. It's going to be a rather short monologue right now. Um, but it has to do with the deep state, the cabal, and the nature of conspiracies in general. Um, Most generic conspiracies go something like this: it's us against this elite group of bad guys, it's everybody against them. It's us against the cabal. We against the cabal, if you want to be linguistically correct. But nonetheless, it tends to be a little bit simplistic. Jumping back a ways, back a long, long time ago, I read a book by Carl Oglesby called The Yankee Cowboy War. And what it says is that there were two power cartels. That was Ogilvy's theory. That there are two power cartels that were battling for control of the United States and the world. At the time, the Soviet Union was still intact, and China was still pretty much on lockdown. So they were battling for control of the Western world anyway. And this was recommended by a lot of people I'd respected, and what I thought was distinguishing about this is that it was a departure from the simplistic we versus the Illuminati kind of thing. We versus that cabal once more. We versus the, drumroll please, deep state. We versus whatever group you want to put in as the elitist group that's there on top of the hill all by themselves. So the Yankee Cowboy War, I'm not going to rehash it right now. I might do so at a later time, but it has to do with going back into the 70s. There was this power cartel, the Yankees, who were concentrated in the East. Probably their kingpin would have been David Rockefeller. And then the Cowboys opposed them. They tend to be more West Coast oriented, and they probably didn't have a strong leadership because the wealthiest guy would have been Howard Hughes, but he was a bit eccentric and disturbed, as we all know. And it emphasized that for a long time, political tickets, if they Democrat or Republican, usually had a balance of East versus West. Well, in picking up where we are now, a lot of people are viewing the whole Q phenomenon as being we versus the deep state, and that's the kind of the generic conspiracy: we versus the cabal, the deep state, etc. But you may notice that immediately we are fighting. If we're on Q's side, we're on the side of another coalition of the deep state. We've been told that Trump was recruited by military intelligence. Military intelligence has surrounded the president. Admiral Rogers is a white hat because he departed. He leaked information to the president that Trump Tower was bugged, and he remained loyal to the president and to the military intelligence. And what we have is, once more, an intramural fight between two factions of the deep state, that being roughly centered around the CIA, and that being the other one that Q is associated with, that has to do with military intelligence. So what's my point of this is that I'd like to at least acknowledge that this is an intramural skirmish. That's not to say that one side might not be better than the other. I do believe that the side we're on is better. I mean, if I go back to, say, the 70s and I had to choose sides, then I probably would have chosen side with the Cowboys over the Yankees for a multitude of reasons. And as now, I think the Q and the POTUS and that cartel is definitely favorable to the opposition. Yeah, those are the other side scares me a lot. But we should go into this being forewarned that the NSA, if you know, if they're on our side, they do come with baggage, as does military intelligence. And we can also be forewarned that sometimes the people who are on our side, when they seem like good people, when their power increases and their options to assert their authority and assert their power increases, sometimes it changes them too. So right now we're joining, or at least we're pledging our allegiance, or at least our sympathies, if nothing else, on the side of Q and those who ally with Q. And I do think that they are the better faction to side with. But at the same time, I think we should all kind of step back and realize it is not we versus fill in the blank. Deep State, Illuminati, baby blood drinking cabal, whatever you want to call it. It is an intramural struggle. So be forewarned and keep that in mind, that our loyalties might come with a price. Okay, roll the credits. Roll the credits.